Come on, move my small voice.
My media.
Attack on June 1, 2022. The organization, however, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being a part of the 6:30 p.m. edition of News on My Media Prime Television, coming to you live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, with me, Fon Quinter. The news starts now. Human Rights Watch has uploaded a decision by the Cameroon government to open investigations into the Misong village attack on June 1, 2022. The organization, however, urges government to make findings public, ensure transparency and accountability. More on this with Joingo.
In its recent report titled Military Killings Inquiry, a positive step, the Human Rights Watch has uploaded the move by the Cameroon government to open investigations into the killing of 9 people in Misong village, Northwest region on the 1st of June 2022. According to Human Rights Watch, the move is an important first step towards ensuring accountability around the alleged murder of civilians by government forces. After military spokesperson Colonel Cyril Sech Atonfak formally acknowledged military responsibility for the Misong killings, revealing that 4 soldiers had already been arrested, Human Rights Watch senior researcher for Central Africa, Ilaria Alegrozi, affirmed that it was a crucial step towards justice in the 2 English-speaking regions. She added that the authorities need to, however, ensure that the investigation is thorough, impartial and independent, capable of establishing a clear timetable of events and identifying all those responsible with the aim of prosecution. Human Rights Watch claims to have eyewitness reports as well as photo and video evidence of the Misong village killings, which they have shared with Cameroonian authorities. As stated by Human Rights Watch, the attack in Misong is but one of the many cases of human rights violations by armed forces in the Anglophone region since 2016, citing in particular the Ngabu massacre in the Northwest region on the 14th of February 2020. Ilaria Alegrozi stated that this recent strategy by the government to go public about killings hopefully indicates an end to denying and hiding the truth surrounding serious human rights abuses. She urged authorities to report the progress of the investigations and make findings public.
Now, employees of the Civil or National Civil Engineering Equipment Park in Marua have staged a strike action. The disgruntled workers are protesting against non-payment of salaries, as we hear in this report. These employees who mounted blocks at the entrance to the Marjani office in Marua, chief town of the Far North region, are demanding the payment of salaries owed them for over 16 months. We have gone for more than 16 months without salaries. I have been for several months without paying my rent. For this reason, my landlord has kicked me out of the house. I am obliged to sleep at the park. They should pay us and give us working material. The disgruntled workers are appealing to the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, to come to their rescue, as seen on 2 of the strikers' placards. As a result of unpaid salaries, these are social insurance fund and payment of family allowances. The sad one, the mortal remains of a 27-year-old man who drowned last Friday due to overflowing has been retrieved. His remains were seen last night on the banks of River Kenke in Cameroon's South region. Dolingandi tells us more.
The rainy season is here, and its accompanying effects are already being felt in different parts of the country. Although the recent seasonal climate prediction bulletin for the months of June, July and August from the National Observatory on Climate Change enlightens on the climatic situation in Cameroon during these 3 months, many are still falling prey to the bad weather conditions. Such is the case with this 27-year-old man, Tang Mathurin, who got drowned over the weekend in the Kienke River in Kribi, South region of Cameroon. Atiama Mezujeman is a younger brother to the deceased who says they had been returning from the farm after a heavy downpour, which caused the river to overflow its banks. In a bid to transport his family members onto the other side of the river, the 27-year-old Tang, who stood as a rescue man, would only end up dead. However, attributing another tangible reason to the boy's death, Mr. Henry, a resident of the Kienke locality, says the boy was inexperienced and only a first-timer who had no mastery in swimming techniques to scale through the heavy waters.
Comme le cas qui est arrivé, le jeune homme ne savait réellement pas nager. C'était sa première fois de vouloir faire preuve de nage.
The river, which separates the Dombe village into two, is also without a bridge in years, as Tang's death only adds up to the many which have been recorded numerously in this river. While the government is yet to react towards this plea, the people of this locality are ever more encouraged to remain prudent and vigilant, as they have only local canoes to enable them get to their farms. Meantime, the family members and friends of the deceased are left to mourn over the death of their loved one, while burial arrangements are already on the way.
For the 2022-2023 roadmap of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon has been under examination. During the fourth session of the steering committee at the Prime Minister's office in Yaoundé, it was reviewed that a lot has already been done 18 months after the initiative kicked off. Catherine Kongwe with details.
So far, the reconstruction plan has mobilized 11 billion francs CFA, with the government of Cameroon providing 75%, Japan offered 1.5 billion francs CFA, and plans to step up its financial contribution by 900 million to 2.4 billion francs CFA. National Coordinator Noel Tamnjong indicated at the fourth steering committee meeting of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon.
From a different perspective. Our last study of the socio-economic situation of the two regions brings to light some very interesting statistics which you may want to know. From the perspective of the economy, we looked at the economy from production. We looked at it from public finances. We looked at it from international trade, particularly with Nigeria, our neighbor to the west. But from the angle of the economy, if you look at the way the economy of the two regions is behaving, then you have no doubt that the impact on the livelihoods of the population is almost palpable.
Monitoring the socio-economic evolution of the situation in the northwest and southwest regions, Balungeli Confiance Ebune, Minister Director of Cabinet of the Prime Minister, checks in.
On behalf of the Prime Minister and of government, I once again call on Cameroon partners to support this reconstruction effort of the two conflict regions. I would like to express our sincere thanks the government of Japan and the private sector for the financial support received in 2021. It is important to recall that all multilateral and bilateral partners of Cameroon have condemned without reserve the attempt to split Cameroon.
The President of the Northwest Regional Assembly has as well saluted contributions by stakeholders for the implementation of the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the northwest and southwest regions.
You can see that every strategic partner in this is getting more and more engaged. First and foremost, the suffering populations, because they identify and communicate their needs. They work through the various channels. And a key thing that was communicated here was that the process is going down to the lowest levels. It started with at the regional level, looking at the needs. Then it's gone down to divisional levels, and it'll go further.
The northwest and southwest region of Cameroon have been witnessing the Anglophone crisis for over 6 years now, and this has thus slowed down development in this area.
The national chairman of the United Democratic Party, Bachong Lawan Bako, celebrated a feast of sacrifice with Muslims and Christians in a fellowship meal in Bamenda. He urged all to maintain the principles of peace, justice, and love for one another. Our Northwest correspondent Charles Akeba completes the story.
It was a moment of sharing and exchange of visit, a usual routine with the national chairman of the United Democratic Party of Bachong El Haji Lawan Bako, chairman of the United Democratic Party, the UDP, celebrate Feast of Sacrifice, also known as a Tabaski, with Muslims and Christians in a fellowship meal after performing official prayers at the Bamenda Old Town Prayer Ground, whose message from the Imam was centered on peace.
When there is peace, there is justice. When there is justice, there is peace. Because without justice, you can't have a sustainable type of a peace that we believe will be fragile. And that's why my friends have come to see me. Muslims, non-Muslims, Christians, traditional rulers, you'll find the Fon of Boom there with me and other traditionalists.
At Bachong's Palace in Tarinkun Bamenza, in the presence of the Fon of Boom, His Majesty Kwanga II, other traditional dignitaries, journalists, friends and loved ones in a common meal to celebrate the Feast of Tabaski with both communities, a role Bachong El Haji Lawan Bako, United Democratic Party UDP chair, plays, urge all to ensure peace and justice, love for one another and sharing.
Other politicians have escaped, they have run away because they don't believe in sharing. They believe in lies telling. I always speak the truth. I speak the truth. I tell the head of state the truth. I tell Cameroonians the truth. And that's why I'm here in Bamenda, continue to be here in Bamenda, for us to be praying for this country, praying for justice, praying for peace, and what have you.
Reiterating the need for peace at this period of sacrifice and for each other to maintain good relationship and unity.
Muhammad, peace be upon him. One of the names of God Almighty is peace. We have 99 names of God Almighty, and one of the names is nothing but peace. And that's why we are praying for peace, justice, togetherness, and love.
The UTP, United Democratic Party National Chair Bachong El Haji Lawan Bako used the occasion to call on Cameroonians to believe in justice and peace, pray for the head of state, wife and family, other leaders in the country, and ensure there be justice and peace in Cameroon, move the country ahead.
In a related story, Muslim faithful in the town of Fumba and West region of Cameroon have been called to preach love and peace. The call was made during the celebration of the Feast of Tabaski, as Miwel Ngaket tells us.
Muslim faithfuls came out in their numbers to take part at the traditional prayer session on the occasion of the celebration of the Feast of the Ram in the town of Fumba this Saturday, 9th of July 2022.
On a prié pour le pardon, pour le vivre ensemble et pour être dans l'harmonie et dans la solidarité.
We prayed for forgiveness, living together, harmony, solidarity, and for continuous love in our families. The head of our families in Jimankwo Elman is also here to partake at this symbolic prayer. Likewise, our non-Muslim friends who believe in one God.
Cette grande prière et puis ce grand repas aussi de la fête et nos amis qui sont les non-musulmans et qui sont là avec nous. On croit qu'à un seul Dieu.
The ceremony, which took place at the prayer ground of Jika, was divided into three main segments. Mainly, the prayer session, during which faithfuls were invited to work towards peace in the known and in Cameroon at large. A call reiterated by the heir of the late Dr. Noel Tamnjong.
L'honneur me revient de vous remercier d'être là pour ces instants de communion intense et traditionnelle.
It is my honor. I thank you for being part of this moment today. We are a family, a community, since the time of our ancestors. We are on the path. We have passed on those values to our children in order to preserve peace and integrity. And as tradition demands, the Imam proceeded to the slaughtering of the ram, paving the way for the commencement of festivities, rich by the display of cultural activities. Also present at the event was the mayor of the town, Tomaino Patrician Dam, who did not miss out on the opportunity to express her gratitude to the people.
Au nom des élus, je souhaite que tous les membres de notre grande famille.
On behalf of my peers, I wish to pray for our family members presently at the Mecca. We need to welcome them back home because they have been praying for us, our families, and community at large. The Feast of the Ram ended thus on a note of conviviality and festivity.
Now, Cameroonian women have been called to see God's face at a time the nation is plagued with different challenges. This call was made on the occasion of the First Ladies International Network meeting held over the weekend in Douala, Cameroon. Colette Luma attended the event and now reports.
There are difficulties. Some days you feel like giving up on God. It's a faithful God.
This is how the First Ladies International Network rolled in the city of Douala, breaking loose heavens, chasing the hell out in the lives of beautifully and wonderfully God-made. Ladies who have devoted their lives aside their profession and businesses in serving God. In the anger of blockages, failures, rejections, persecutions, tribulations, during these events, these impactful women in the presence of the founder destroyed what is not of God in all areas of their lives and loved ones. Yes, a life without God is useless, as these women in marathon prayers dwell on the theme, my husband and children will not fail.
It was power parting event where women come with their burden and they pour out their hearts to God, believing God for breakthrough, believing God for higher heights spiritually, physically, in every wise. To be a balanced woman means to be spiritually, physically, and financially fit.
A hand of generosity stretched out to some of the women by the founder, appreciating hard work.
I want to bless God for this wonderful organization that God, by His mercy, brought me into under the supervision of our mother, Mommy Mata. And this ministry has been such a blessing to me because it was at the time where I felt that, in life, if you can't make it on your own, you remain in that state. But I came to discover someone that encouraged me to know that life is much more than just what we have and we can achieve by ourselves. And from there, I began building up my capacity to know that it's not all about where your background is coming from, who your parents are, who your husband is. There is more to life than what we are just seeing. From there, I began building capacity, and today I am the National Prayer Coordinator of First Ladies, to the glory of God. And one of the areas where I function is to encourage women.
A vision empowering women to stay in the ways of the Lord and take back their position.
Today we gathered here in Douala with the First Ladies International Network, Douala Zone. The essence was just to wait upon the Lord. We know we're in a season where there are so many things that we desire God to do in our lives. So I had to gather the women for us to just share together, but most especially to cry unto God for our basic needs, the things we are trusting Him for. There were moments where I had to bring in ideas on relationships because we're all going through a lot as a family. So at the end of the day, we had to give out gifts. One of the things we do is to empower women, is to encourage women to build their homes, to build their families. So the impact practice the fact that we're able to encourage the women to know that our little bit, our little love from left and right can help us build the family together.
At a time the devil is roaming around looking for souls to devour, women are taking the lead, changing the narratives and saving souls. A good example to emulate.
Now some news from ESO living in Meme Division of Cameroon's Southwest region have received training on contextual leadership. The week-long workshop was organized by the National Training Chaplaincy of the PCC. Thamfu Sidwan reports from Kumba.
They will not kill them, and they are coming nearer and destroying it.
Leaders of ESO Youth Development Association living in Meme Division have gained skills on contextual leadership after a 5-day training which took place in Kumba, Southwest region of Cameroon, organized by the National Training Chaplaincy of the PCC. Reverend Dr. Mi Clement K. The youths were trained on how to become dynamic change makers as they will embark on leadership activities.
When we have a few people who are the corridors of leadership, we take opportunity to train them and they become our ambassadors.
The main focus during the training exercise was on contextual leadership, coming at the time when the ESO youths are encouraged to embark on activities that will lead to socio-political and economic development of ESO in Menchum Division of the Northwest region.
They have their own context in which they are discussing. You realize that they are also in a situation where their fun is not there. And so when we have a group of people who are approaching leadership, we give them skills so that they should do it properly without errors, because it will be difficult to reach the chairman of the traditional council to handle the problem.
These youth leaders will in future fit into right shoes and map out measures for positive change in Menchum Division.
As a leader, you first of all need to bring the people together. My coming here for this program was really to bring the people to be trained and bring the youth of ESO together so that they can be able to develop our village.
This will go a long way to match words with action and meet change as they involve in leadership activities within their communities.
The contextual leadership was intended to know that they are youths working with youths. They have to behave like parents. Whether they like it or not, they have their own problems, but they need to know that many other youths are looking up to them.
To the youth leaders, it was an enriching exercise for 5 days and will lead to greater activities for their homeland.
As a leader, you have to stand first for others to follow.
I have been impacted with leadership skills so as to enable me talk less, listen more.
As much is expected from the youth, they were also encouraged to exhibit their leadership qualities by paying attention to different tasks and challenges in respective contexts.
News out of Cameroon, staff lady Audrey Zaza visited South Africa, where police is investigating 2 bar shootings which led to the death of at least 19 people. Details on these and more right ahead.
This Monday, July 11, marked the end of pledges in the trial of former Rwandan prefect Laurent Busibaruta at Paris Special Criminal Court for the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. The senior civil servant in Rwanda in the years 1994 is facing charges of being complicit in crimes against humanity. Reports say the prosecutor requested on Friday life imprisonment during his trial for the said genocide, estimating that he had played a major role in the incident. A representative of the National Anti-Terrorist Prosecutor's Office said the latter failed in his duty to protect the Tutsis of his prefecture when he had the means to act, thus calling for his conviction as the principal author of what they termed crime of crimes. Laurent Busibaruta has, however, since the beginning of the trial in May 9, denied the charges. According to the United Nations, the Kikongoro region was one of the most affected by the genocide, targeting the Tutsis minority, which claimed at least 800,000 victims. In Ouagadougou, at least 4 civilians are said to have lost their lives on Sunday, July 10, in an attack by armed men. According to local authorities, the incident took place in the commune of Basalogo, in Sangmatenga province in Burkina Faso. Media sources say the defense and security forces registered some injuries as they carried out a military response. An explosion in the northern part of Togo has reportedly killed 7 people on Sunday, July 10, 2022. Without giving further details about the blast, the military said the explosion happened in Tone Prefecture near the border with Burkina Faso, where a Sahel jihadist insurgency is threatening to spill over into West African nations. Last month, Togo declared a state of emergency in its northern prefectures over the threat of Islamist militant attacks from north of its border. The army has, however, announced that investigation is ongoing to determine the circumstances of the explosion and identify the perpetrators. And in South Africa, police is reported to be investigating 2 bar shootings on Sunday, July 10, that left 19 people dead and several wounded. According to reports, the shootout took place in 2 different places, one in Soweto, where 15 people were killed as they enjoyed life out, and another in the eastern city of Pietermaritzburg, where 4 others were shot dead and 8 wounded. Police sources said it was too early to say if the assaults were in some way connected, but observed via similarity.
And to sports, 8 nations have qualified for the final stage of the 2022 Africa Women Cup of Nations Morocco, wrapping up the group stages of the competition. Eileen Samathos has found this report.
Host nation Morocco, Senegal, Cameroon, Tunisia, Zambia, South Africa, Botswana, and Nigeria are the 8 teams that have qualified for the quarterfinals of the ongoing African Cup of Nations Women's Tournament in Morocco. On Sunday, July 10th, South Africa's Banyana defeated Botswana 1-0 in their last Group C match when 19-year-old Tabiseng Magia scored the lone goal at the 80th minute during the encounter at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Morocco. However, Botswana narrowly qualifies for the quarter-finals with 3 points as one of the 3 best third-place teams and will face host Morocco on Wednesday. While Group C winners Banyana of South Africa will play against Tunisia on Thursday in the quarter-final clash. On the other hand, the Super Falcons of Nigeria comfortably qualify for the quarter-finals of the WAFCON on Sunday, beating Burundi 4-0, knocking Burundi off the competition. Thus, Nigeria finishes second behind South Africa and will now face Cameroon in the quarter-final on Thursday, 14 July, for a place at the 2023 Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, while Zambia will lock hands with Senegal on Wednesday, July 13th. Cameroon's match against Nigeria will be a highly contested one, as the neighboring countries have met 12 times at the WAFCON, with Nigeria winning 10 times, drew once, and lost just 1 time, to be the emerging powerhouse in African football. It is worth reiterating that the 4 nations that win the quarterfinals automatically qualify for the next year's FIFA World Cup in New Zealand and Australia.
We've come to the end of the 6:30 p.m. edition of News on My Media Prime Television. Coming up just after the news is Prime Hour with Kum Leonard and his team. My name is Fon Quinter. Have a blessed evening in the company of more programs on the African Eye. Good night.